All right, what's going on, guys? Today we're doing a buys and sells Dynasty Fantasy Football. We are 8 days out from the NFL draft, so the activity in all your leagues, I'm sure, is starting to heat back up again. The guys who've been in slumber all summer and their hibernation are coming back to fantasy football, so we're ready. I think you're going to start us off with the buys.
Yeah, I gotta go with the first buy here. A guy who shouldn't even be on a buy list, in my opinion, is CeeDee Lamb. He's currently the wide receiver 7 on Keep Trade Cut, being valued neck and neck with Drake London, which I think is just pure insanity to me. We're talking about the guy who was literally wide receiver 1 in 2024,
Yeah.
literally 2 years ago. And he's only 27. Like, he's same age as these guys who are like a wide receiver 1 overall, like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson type of guys. And I think he's got at least 5, 6 more years of elite high level production left. Like I think he's kind of that Davante Adams mold where I think he can still play into his like mid 30s. And he's going to be attached to Dak the rest of his career as well. So I know some people are going to be worried about like George Pickens being there and taking some targets away from him, but can they really pay two wide receivers big money and Dak big money? And I don't think they're going to want to follow what the Bengals have been doing. And the Bengals have just been kind of the rest of their roster is just completely terrible because all of their capital is invested in just two receivers and a quarterback. I don't think, they've been able to see that happen. I think if they're going to choose CD every single time. I think George was kind of a good prove it player, like 1 year contract, 2 year contract type guy. He had a fantastic season with Dallas as well, but I think most of why Lamb wasn't as dominant last year, he was dealing with injuries all year. I think he's going to be back to his form. I think he's going to be a top 5 guy next season. So if you can have a couple trades, I would trade Tech McMillan and Josh Downs. I saw that trade being made for CeeDee Lamb. I think that's just ridiculous. I don't think you can do that in most leagues, but if you can, definitely do that. And then one that I think is actually maybe more common would be Brian Thomas Jr. and the 109 for CeeDee Lamb. I think that's a slam dunk. I know there's a big teardrop after the 108, and Brian Thomas Jr. was like unstartable last season. So I think you take a CD every single chance you get there. Even if you're a rebuilder, I would still do that, to be honest. Like, unless your depth is just terrible. I think the value is just on the CD side.
Next up on the buys, we're going DeVonta Smith. Now, I know the A.J. Brown trade rumors are looming, and a lot of people are going to be looking to buy A.J. Brown, but a guy who I really would look to buy is DeVonta Smith. We all know he's one of the greatest college receivers of all time. He thinks he's the greatest college receiver of all time. I think he's one of the greatest.
Hmm.
But he did over 1K 3 times. He's had over 7 touchdowns 2 times. So while he has been underwhelming to a certain extent for sure for what we all expected from him in the pros, he still has been a very productive wide receiver with AJ Brown gone and him going into that wide receiver 1 role. A lot of people are saying the JSN thing when DK left. I don't see that level of a jump happening here, but
Hmm.
I wouldn't blink if AJ Brown was gone and he had 1,400 yards. That is the level we've seen from this guy and like what he can do in the past when he is the wide receiver 1 in the system. And I think it's going to happen again soon, whether it's New England or not. I think AJ's out. I think we saw Kevin Byard a couple of days ago doing the recruiting is getting a little bit insane. I'm sure the Eagles would love to quiet this noise, and DeVonta Smith being able to step in as a wide receiver 1, I think they would still have the most talented roster in the NFL, like they have been for the
Yeah.
past 3 years. This guy, I think he sold in our league for a late 2 and 2 threes, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Won't happen in most leagues, that's for
Won't
sure.
happen in most leagues. You're not going to have everyone as silly as our one league mate. I would do anything like this or a late 2026 first. I've seen that happening a lot recently. Any late 2026 first, I think,
Yeah,
is an absolute slam dunk for DeVonta Smith. Get in now before the AJ Brown trade that everyone knows is going to happen, but it isn't completely confirmed. So you're still going to have some people that have cold feet about it.
hmm,
This is the time to do it.
for sure. And my second buy is a guy that I absolutely love in Dynasty right now. It's Jaxson Dart. The weapons in New York are just elite. You've got Malik Neighbors coming back, Scatterbo coming back. They just added Isaiah Likely. They have a top 5 pick in the draft. They could use it on possibly running back or receiver. Their defense is much improved. They brought in John Harbaugh. He brings such a massive floor to this entire team. They could be one of those surprising playoff teams this year. I think it could be a 1 year turnaround for this franchise. I think Harbaugh is actually known for building through the trenches in the draft as well, which only helps Dart even more. And in 2025, Dart showed exactly what he can be for fantasy. He averaged 17.3 points per game. He's that Konami code, rushing threat that we really love in fantasy as well. Valued as the quarterback 9 on Keep Trade Cut right now, just 23 years old. I think I could easily see him creeping into the top 5 by next year. I think people are going to worry about the injuries, the concussions, but for me, it's just kind of that matter of him playing smarter, not kind of a lack of durability concerns. And I think if Drake May can become that fantasy quarterback 1 overall in 2 seasons, then why can't Jaxson Dart? So I'm going to say some trades that I would be making to get him. You can tier down from Joe Burrow for Dart in 2 seconds. I think that's fantastic value. Give AJ Brown, Kittle, and a second for him. I think, if you can ship off 2 older veterans at the kind of the end of their careers and just a second round pick, that's great value, especially if you're a rebuilder. That would be a dream rebuilder deal. I also really like Chris Olave and a second for him. I think if you have wide receiver depth, that's kind of a no-brainer, especially if you need quarterback as well. So I really like Jaxson Dart, especially with his age. If you're a rebuilder, he's the perfect rebuilding target.
Yeah, absolutely. With the rushing upside as well, we love that. He needs to learn
Mhm.
to slide.
Yeah,
I loved the quote. What was it? We're not playing tennis, but
yeah,
a little bit more red penny energy. I'd like.
yeah. And the team loves him, so
Yeah,
he's just a
absolutely.
great player
Him and Scat, like those guys. I'm sure the O line will want to run through a wall for him.
for sure. Yeah.
Next up, we're going Marvin Harrison Jr. Now I know this is going to be a name. Some people don't even want to hear it. It's like for the hype on him, almost a consensus 101 in a generational draft class, dynasty and in real life. Gotta hurt a lot of people. Although I will say he had 860 yards in his rookie year, and he was on a 900-yard pace if he was healthy. I gave him 11 games played to get that pace because he played like 5 snaps in the one game, so that's not really fair to give that to him. I feel like if he was fully healthy in a season, he was around a 1K pace with terrible quarterback play. Like Kyler Murray was not playing well. He was playing through an injury. And when Jacoby Brissett was playing, he was playing really well, but he was kind of giving Michael Wilson the targets that Harrison would have been getting. And Harrison was largely injured during that time period. I think we could have seen like a Brian Thomas Jr.-esque level of production during that time where like kind of when Mac Jones was playing, when Trevor Lawrence started, he
Yeah.
really fed ETJ like kind of how Brissett did to Wilson. I feel like we would have finally seen that if he was fully healthy. And I feel like we're going to get that in this next year, whether it's Brissett, whether it's Minshew, or a rookie QB, which I really don't see likely, at least playing in year one, although I do think they could pick one. I
Yeah.
think that Marv is really a guy that you're going to want to look after. I think I wouldn't bat an eye if I saw 1,300 yards. We've seen what this guy can do. I always look back at that Rams game, 130 yards and 2 tuds. Like he's here, that rack ability, the go up and get it that we've seen. Stop with the drops. We need prime college Marv. And I think we're going to see that. Some trades I would do. I've seen Luther Burden in a second round pick swap in a heartbeat. You take that. I believe it was Marv 105, and then it was a second round pick, Pickens and Dobbs. So I'm taking Marv in the 105 over Pickens, Dobbs in the 2, although that is a pretty close value range. I just think
Yeah.
with the type of player you could get 105 and Marv, it's much more valuable than Pickens,
Yeah.
Dobbs.
I
Too.
do that in a heartbeat too. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I saw a Marv for Stroud swap.
Damn.
Absolutely Marv, although I don't think you get that in many leagues. I feel like it is kind of a struggling player at each position that's played well in the past. They're still young. They have potential to reach out. I feel like a lot of people would see that similarly, although I certainly value the Marv side much higher. Also,
Mhm.
any late 2026 first. I feel like this draft drops off a lot after around the
Yeah.
107. You have a later first round pick and you can make that swap for Marv, another one in a heartbeat. You're not going to find a talent like that.
I 100% agree there. Especially the prices that people are getting him for. I think it's definitely the time to buy if there's going to be a time to buy. So,
Exactly right.
yeah. And moving over to the cells, this one might hurt a lot of people, but we got to talk about Puka Nacua here. Look, he is, in my opinion, I think this is going to be the highest value he's ever going to be. He just had a absolutely dominant season. Stafford had an MVP season. He's priced as the wide receiver 3 currently overall. He's dealt with some injury issues throughout his entire career, and now we have those off the field concerns with him being in rehab. On top of that, we have no idea how many more years Stafford's going to play. So that's another concern just in the back of your mind. I'm not going to say you have to panic sell Puka Nacua in any way, but if someone's willing to pay those top three wide receiver dynasty prices for him, you really have to take that deal, in my opinion. Some trades I would do for sure would be getting Puka for the 103, or sorry, giving away Puka for the 103, the 104, and a late second. I think that would be just great value if you can get two of the top three receivers in this draft class. Like if you can get a Lemon and a Tate for Puka, I think that's just a slam dunk, especially as a
Yeah.
rebuilder type of team. I think if you can give Puka for Drake London and the 103, so it's like Drake London and Lemon or Tate or Tyson, I think that's another good deal there. It's like very good tear down type of moves is what I'd be looking to do with Puka. And then I also saw one Puka and a second for two 27 firsts, a 28 first, and a 28 third. So that's just an absolute pick haul for Puka. I think you got to do that, especially 27 firsts. They're just going to keep going up in value. It's one of the best classes we've seen in forever. And then
Yeah.
another one, the last one I saw here was giving away Puka and Harold Fannin for Justin Jefferson, the 103 and the 107. So I would really like that as well. So I think Puka's the perfect tier down type of guy right now in Dynasty.
Yeah, I would totally agree with the off-field concerns. I mean, like, no jokes here. Like, really feel for the guy and like hope he gets through his demons. Like, I know he's had some rough stuff going on recently with the allegations and rehab. Like, that's obviously scary, especially when you're holding a wide receiver. Like, we saw how fast things went off the cliff with AB. I don't think this is going to be an AB situation, especially to that magnitude or that quickly. Right now, before the draft, right before the Rams maybe take a wide receiver, or then I'd say maybe a couple weeks into the season, he goes off. People forget about the rehab stuff. Either one of these two times, I would say sell high on him before, like you said, before Stafford goes, before they draft another wide receiver, before stuff like that happens. So next up, we got Michael Wilson. I know that I'm doing both Cardinal receivers, and it's kind of crazy, but I feel like it's really like Marv is going to come back into that X role. Brissett was really force feeding Michael Wilson last year, and he never eclipsed more than 560 yards in a year before then. I think he is a solid wide receiver too. Don't get me wrong. Really think he could get like 800 yards, honestly, as his ceiling this year. It wouldn't surprise me at all. 800 yards, 5, 6 touchdowns is probably around the production I would expect for him. A little bit of return to earth for what I think his true ceiling is, especially with Marv healthy in that offense. People are like, Brissett's going to be back. He's going to be feeding him again. Yeah, Brissett's going to be back, and he's going to have to be feeding Marv and Trey McBride. You're telling me there's going to be enough passing volume in the Cardinals offense to support 3 targets? I really, really don't think so. This guy last year, I was trying to offload this guy because I was tanking and I was trying to get like a second or a third for him. And I ended up settling for like a third, which is a huge fleece at this point, obviously. Just goes to show where his value was for those last couple games really upticked it. So I feel like now is the perfect time to sell high. I saw a trade for it was Michael Wilson and a 2 for BTJ, which I think is just ridiculous. Like I would do that in a
Yeah,
heartbeat.
it's worth the
And then
upside shot.
it was RJ Harvey and Michael Wilson to grade up to Brees Hall, which I think is just
I
unbelievable
do
considering
that. Yeah,
Brees Hall, I believe, is younger than RJ Harvey is
he
now
is. Yeah, he is.
and has like 3 total 1,000-yard seasons or like right about at that mark and like has shown with his yards per carry and his home run ability that he can be a true top tier back. But yeah, no, I think Brees Hall is much, much better than RJ Harvey and Michael Wilson, whatever you can get for him. And I think KTC has him valued as a late one right now. Even in a much weaker class, I'm taking Denzel Boston, Omar
Yeah.
Cooper Jr. over him. If you can get your hands on Kenyon Sadiq, I personally even favor like Stowers over him. So I think Michael Wilson is the perfect time to sell high, especially if you can get a guy like Brees Hall, get a guy like BTJ. I would tier up to a guy like a
Yeah.
buy candidate like BTJ for a sell candidate who's like had like overperformed for a guy who's underperformed. That's exactly what I would do right now.
How do you feel about people saying that Michael Wilson is the Cardinals wide receiver one, not Marv?
It actually grinds my gears, man. Like I'm such a Marv believer, and like I had Michael Wilson. I honestly thought Michael Wilson was a good player. I had him on my team. Did nothing for me for so long, and then just exploded right after I traded him for a 3, getting force fed by Jacoby Brissett in meaningless games. I
Yeah.
really don't think you're going to see that again, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on Marv. I feel like the value for Michael Wilson and Marv is honestly kind of similar when you look at the market right now, which is
That's
again like
crazy. Yeah.
it's unbelievable to me. Even just granted the capital they were given, like a
Yeah.
late second round wide receiver versus a guy who was 104 in the consensus 101 in dynasty mocks for almost everyone. It's Marv all day.
I agree with that. My second sell is going to be DeVon Achane. All right, so I think that this guy's a total stud. Obviously, we know this guy's a total stud, but I think the situation in Miami is just a disaster. They're clearly a tanking, rebuilding team. They refuse to trade the guy, even though a lot of teams are inquiring about his availability. And now I just think with them being into a rebuild, he's currently valued as a top five running back in Dynasty. I just think in a Dynasty rebuild, especially, you don't want to be holding a running back at peak price that's on a bad team. I would take the value now and move it into more stable assets. So some trades that I'm looking for here would be trading Achan for the 108, a 27 first, and a 27 second. I saw that one and I'm like, holy crap, what a haul, right? And I know
Yeah.
a late first in this class isn't great, but 108 is like right before the teardrop, so I'm not really mad at that pick. And then I saw one where someone traded Achan for two 27 firsts. I would do that if they're like two random ones. One could be early, one could be mid, one could be late. I think that's fantastic value as well, especially if you're a rebuilding team. I know Achan, it's going to be tough to lose him. He's really a beast, but I think two 27 first in a generational draft class is pretty good. And then I saw a trade where it's Achan and a third for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think I would much rather have the young stud receiver who's finished as the wide receiver three in like 3 seasons straight. I think I would much rather have that stable situation on a elite team versus a terrible rebuilding team with a question marks at quarterback. And then lastly, someone gave Achan, Brian Thomas, and an early second for Marvin Harrison Jr. and Ashton Genty. How do you feel about that one, actually?
That one I think is a huge slam dunk. Marv and Genty, I feel like with the years they're about to have, again, that like buying low on guys like that who have been like true blue chip prospects who have had things out of their control impact their performance. Yeah, those are the guys I'd be targeting right now in the offseason.
I think Genty could be valued. You're basically at that point, like let's say Genty takes a step up, which I think he easily should. I
Yep.
think if he takes a step up there, that could be the price for Genty, like Achan, Brian Thomas, and a second for
Yep.
Genty. So you're basically getting Marv for free.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would love that deal there. And then what's your last sell?
Yeah, so my last sell is Davante Adams. I just feel like heading into his age 34 season, at just under 800 yards, he was extremely productive with the touchdowns, right? I believe he had 14 touchdowns. So he was
Red
still
zone
very
monster.
exactly a red zone monster. He was a lot higher up than wide receiver ranks than a lot of people might think. Like I thought he had like before looking at the stats, I thought he even had like 900 to 1,000 yards, like the way he was being talked about throughout the year. And then as I started paying close attention, I was like, oh, like he's more of like the pure red zone threat in this offense. Puka's the chain mover. The buzz with the Rams taking a wide receiver as well. That would absolutely decimate Tay Adams' value right now. And I think the guy's a dog. Like he's got chemistry with Stafford clearly, and I don't think he's done yet by any means, but I personally would project around 700, 800 yards and 10, 12 touchdowns again. And I think that's
Mm.
like production, but given what he's valued for, like especially his age, like he's about to fall off a cliff. Like he just is like 35, 36. He's not going to be putting up like 14 touchdown seasons. And we've already seen his yards take a huge dip. So I think right now I've seen trades like late 2027 first, late 2028, or any 2027, any 2028, and then, sorry, late 2026s. Like I've seen the 107, stuff like that, like right before the teardrop.
Jesus.
I would think that if you're a rebuilder or a team that's looking to maybe retool, unless you're an absolute contender, getting the first round value for Tay Adams, the late first, I would do that in a heartbeat.
I think even if you're contender, you like slam dunk that trade. It's like similar with Derrick Henry. It's like you can get any first for those super old guys that have like maybe 1 year left.
Exactly.
Easily, easily. I don't even care if you're contending at
Yeah,
that
yeah.
rate. Thanks, everyone. Those are April 8 days before the draft buys and sells that you should get on immediately. Make sure that you're checking those trade blocks and seeing if those trade windows are open in your leagues, especially around draft season. It's very, very active in most leagues. Drop a comment below. Who are you guys buying or selling, especially after the draft, before the draft, during the draft? We really want to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.